Welcome to Color Me Happy podcast. My name is Brandy Hofer. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I sure do appreciate your time. I found this gem of a conversation in my downloads. I'm so sorry, Megan. So this is Meg Davies' design. And I know it's old because Finn was 4 and he's been 5 for a while now. And I re-listened to it because I do edit all of these in all my spare time. And I just listened to it and it's so good. It's just like having coffee with a friend. I was meeting Megan for the very first time and we just talked about parenting and arting and life and experiences. And I think you'll just really enjoy. Go and do something, like go for a drive or whatever you like to do to when you throw your podcast in at work or if you're working in your studio. This will just be like hanging out with pals, which these episodes usually are something like that, but you'll love it. You'll have such a good time. We had just a really great, genuine conversation. This week has been such a shit show. Really such a shit show. I know if you're a parent, we're all swinging in back to and anxiously swinging back into a new routine. And I'm ready for them to be not here anymore. That's for sure. But then I also remember that I still have one at home. So there's that. And oh boy. Yeah, I'm not sure what I want because they also distract Teddy, but they also destroy everything in their path. So, tough one. Tough one there. But I hope you're all, almost settled in and ready for a new routine and got all your stuff organized. It will feel good. Hey, remember it's not minus 47 in winter? Remember here in Canada? Let's just count our lucky stars. I'm not sure if that's a saying, but it's still nice and sunny. So we'll take it where we can get it. So also, I'm really excited about the fall because it's a new thing for me happening is Art Academy in our local public school system is a few times a week, and I get to meet all these beautiful young people who we cried over their applications, and we get to spread more joy and creativity around our young people, youth, schools, community. We're going to do lots of community outreach, so that's super duper special. And then shortly right into that, I'm going to New York with BXP Contemporary Gallery to the Affordable Art Fair. So anyone who's not in Canada, but you know what? You guys are from all over. So I so appreciate that. It's so cool. I know I talk about winter and stuff. So I appreciate you still listening, even though, someone's knocking at my door. If you're in New York, I just knocked over a bunch of stuff. If you're in New York, please come see me. Send me a message.
Mommy?
Hey, buddy.
Can we draw all our new things we got from the garage sale?
Sure. Yeah. Bring it on down.
Paper.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Bring it on. Okay, folks. You enjoy this episode. We'll chat soon. Just so everyone knows, this is actually my first time meeting Megan. And as far as our podcast goes, many of you already know this, but it's pretty unfiltered. That's why it used to be called Art and Motherhood Unfiltered, but then I was cutting out a lot of men. So I have a few male friends. So I should probably rename this podcast. So I like the conversation to be really organic and magical, and that only can happen when you ask something for the very first time, right? I'm super excited to chat, and we can just go for it. So, where are you from? First of all, where is your practice established?
It is in Lynchburg, Virginia, so Central Virginia. It's where I was born and raised, and left for a little bit and came back, started my business about 3.5 years ago. And
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I thought you were American because like you had like a slight little American accent, and I have a lot of American friends through the Art Queens.
Okay.
Have you heard of the Art Queens?
Mm-mm.
No, okay. So it's this big female art group, and it's based out of the States. And whenever I send a voice thing on Instagram to like our little pods, they're like, "Oh, your accent is so cute." I'm like, what? I guess no one really knows they have an accent, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I sound like you. I feel like we're all in North America and people are sounding, but apparently not. Apparently it's a very cute little whatever. But yeah, I feel like the American accent is like kind of similar to Toronto, Ontario, like our eastern, not the east of Canada. I don't know if you've heard of anyone's accents from the like east coast of Canada.
Okay.
No, it's very noticeable. It's
Okay.
like a whole different. It sounds like a different country accent.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's its own English. I had a friend from Newfoundland growing up, and I was like, she phoned me. She phoned me when she moved. We were friends in grade 5. She moved back, and she phoned me back, and she was back to her, like where she grew up, and her accent was so thick that I couldn't understand what she was saying to me on the phone. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Charlene, I just don't understand. Who are you? Yeah, and we're the Flatlanders, and they're I don't know what they are, but yeah, it's a beautiful, nice culture, and Newfoundland is great. Anyways, I got off topic. Illustration. So, do you mostly do illustration? Is that what your business is based off of?
No, it is. It's a mix. And by illustration, that implies more the style, like traditional, like children's picture book illustration. So landscapes, acrylic landscapes, and then illustration type pictures. I do bugs. I do leaves. Anything nature related has that illustrative quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
I love painting.
Do you? Yeah, no, they're stunning. I love them. Do you do illustration for any sort of books and stuff like that? Have you had that opportunity?
I do have one book. It did get published, and it was more of a passion side project. And I started it when I was before I had my art business. I was working at a children's museum, and I met this little girl, and she talked to me about this character that she had made up, and she did a drawing of it for me, and she was 4 at the time. And so I took her drawing, the 4-year-old drawing, and I incorporated it into a book with, oh my gosh, that's amazing. The storyline is pretty much the interview of, she called it the chew fish. Okay, well, what is the chew fish? And it has, sharp teeth, and it's nice. It doesn't eat people. It eats, I can't remember what she said it ate, but I used her interview for the text. So beginning to end, it's all her wording, and
oh my gosh,
plugged into my illustration, kind of done in a simplistic way to match what hers is, and got them printed and took her a copy of it. And, now she's bursting with ideas of, okay, next we're going to do.
It's a ton of work. So I love children, and they're like, it's uninhibited, totally like innocent. They're like, cool, you did that for me. Let's do it again. That's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my son, I got him like a tooth making loom yesterday for his birthday. And so then it ended up me knitting, or not, I don't know what looming is, but it ended up me making multiple amounts of toques. And my husband last night's like, come on, let's hang out. And I was like, I'm so tired. He's like, I'm tired from, I was like, knitting hats.
Life is hard.
Yeah, like I didn't even want to say it out loud because it was terrible, but like my hands hurt, my eyes hurt. Like I wanted to learn it so I could teach them properly because I knew he would be into it. But it's just like kids are, they're like, this is great. Let's do it all day and 100% of the time. They just don't get that basic, like we have to live life along the way.
Yeah,
it's like we have to
be made. I can't.
So you met her and that like sparked a total, like I totally get that.
Yeah. And they're all published and printed locally. So I mean, again, not a big project, but for her as a kid, excuse me, to be, officially a published author, it's just really, really cool. And she's about, I don't know, 9 or 10 now. So
yeah, that's Oh, that is so neat. I feel like you should keep doing that. Like you should keep trying to, find, just use little kid stories and make some money off it. No, just kidding. No, I think that's an interesting thing. Like you could almost do a call or something. Like I will look at what I did. This was so fun, and that's your that's your jam. And oh, there's my heavy-footed son up there. Yeah, so
Empowering kids along the way. It's neat to see them get so excited over it.
yeah, I think it's so cool. And obviously, because I try to tell my sons how cool it is, I'm like, you guys have had like an exhibition that just traveled across the country, and just so you know, that's like pretty crazy. I was trying to explain it to them one day while they were in here, actually, because we were launching the Geometric Spin collection last month, and I'm just like, okay, so this is your own solo show. Like, this is our solo show, like at a gallery. This is a big, 2 galleries. My own and the other one, and so that's a big deal. And they're like, so we won. I'm like, no.
Do I get a trophy?
Not a competition.
Yeah.
You don't want to compete with other people. You want to work together and raise it up. And they're like, well, everyone wins in their own show. It's like, okay, that's not. I don't know. Okay, yeah, I guess get your own show every time, and then you'll always win. Sure,
best in show all around.
They can't grasp it, but they're up for the challenge regardless, and they're just happy. You know what? They're genuinely happy to just be there with you, doing whatever you're doing and connecting.
Well, and using the legit supplies. Like I know when I let my son, that sounds terrible, but in honesty, when I let him into my studio space and use my really nice brushes or use the paint, or I give him canvas rather than, a piece of cardboard from the recycling, he's shit to paint on. He gets so excited, and you can see the confidence that comes from that, and how, just they feel like they're this whole new person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never seen so much confidence. You're exactly right. Like pour out of my sons except when they're creating, because it's so freeing. And I feel like I wish everyone could have a little taste of it, Yeah. And or just do it with their kids.
Yeah.
It can be a scrap of cardboard. My sons got really attached to their last cardboard painting, and now it's like in their room. I was like, garbage, but whatever. It's not garbage. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And they totally you do, it's a lot of letting go, because like I had some Sennelier pastels crushed on the floor the other day, and I was just like, oh, that's like $40 crushed on the floor. Yeah. Or my Tosca pens without the lids. You're like, okay, that's garbage.
Yeah. Mashing. I've had a handful of like nicer pens just get mashed to smithereens. Like the felt is all wedged, not even just flat, but just shoved all the way back into the pen itself. Like, okay.
Can I get it out?
Yeah.
No, it is. It's a lot of letting go, but I think it's important. And I think it makes us just kind of chill as human beings, maybe. There's a lesson in it somewhere.
Yeah. And like letting go, like the control side as the parent, and like a little bit more of an organized type person anyway, to see him down here and just like, flinging things. And last time he was painting, he's like, I really want to splatter things. I was like, okay, like we can do this.
Let's make a 2-inch lake of water at the bottom of my studio floor. That's great. And we'll see how that turns out. But if you can see behind me, clearly works out pretty good. Like, it is. And it kind of like marries the practice in this way that you just never thought it could be that way. And we spoke a little bit before this podcast about, I'm going to do this anyway. I don't know what it's for. I don't know why I'm doing it, but let's do it. I know it's taking up time and energy, but it honestly can lead to where, and just a whole life lesson right here. It'll lead you somewhere, and you don't necessarily know where that is. They don't know. You don't know. And it's a beautiful, just go with it. It's a beautiful thing. And it's why life is exciting. That is
Yeah.
exactly why we're showing up every day, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Good or bad.
There's a chance it'll be fine.
Something good will come out of this, and something probably bad. And that's the way it is. I talk about that all the time. Yeah. So how have you guys been over the past like a couple of years? Just like a couple of years. Is it almost a couple of years now? Like, is it a year? Is it a year and a half? It's getting very fuzzy. Did you have to like adjust and stay home and do all that, or how was it there for you?
Yes, there was adjusting, not as much as I had anticipated.
Okay.
Which was good. I was already geared up to work from home. So then the adjustment just came to like having little people in your space all the time. And I just have one son he's 6.5, so a little bit younger at that time. And so at least I didn't have to focus on the at-home learning component. For him, that learning is play, which, sometimes I wish it was like, read all of these textbooks, please, and get out of my way. I have to get this work done. Rather than, okay, like, fine, we will go bird watching again for the 8th time today.
Bird watching. Cool.
And, we have this.
Isn't that, I bet you know a lot about birds and you get into nature.
Oh yeah, we had this little journal, and he would draw the birds that came to the feeder, and we were outside, like wrapped in a blanket, and he had sketched them, and he just referenced the birds the other day. Like, remember that one that would stick his head into the bird feeder, and when he'd pull his head back out, he'd get like the mohawk, and I'm like, I do remember. And a little drawing to go with it. So it's really neat to see, what they remember from this time. Adjusting to having him home was difficult, but not as difficult as I had anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say that like there were stretches of this whole season where I'm just internally screaming, like, how do I make this stop? But just really, again, just being a little bit too controlling and just learning to, let him come do a painting with me. I had a woman who commissioned me to do a watercolor of her house, like a house portrait, and he wanted to do one too. So I pulled out some paper for him, and he got to use my paints, which he loved. And he ended up taking his rendition of the house with me when we dropped off the portrait to this woman. And she ended up paying him $5 for it and getting it framed and putting it up next to mine. And you would have thought he won the lottery. And so then, I was working on a landscape for my mom, and he wanted to do one too. And so he did the copy, and then she also paid him $5. So it's like,
he's going to show up a lot.
Yeah.
You.
So, it's been really good. It's been fun. And
yeah, I feel like there were tiny gifts along the way, and like total life lessons in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like 100%. But yeah, so did you work from home before that? Like you're based out of, okay. Yeah.
Dining table was the art studio space, or like the nook of a closet was where I was working. And then last year, I got a house, and this basement that I'm in right now was really dark and creepy. And I pretty much just, painted absolutely everything other than the ceiling white and put some LED lights in here. And so now I do have just this really nice space to work in. And I don't clear the dining table every time I need to crawl or eat.
So it's the worst. And especially when you can't just like drop paint, and then you're like,
Yeah.
Like the worry about that. Like I destroyed so many rooms and so many homes. Because where I live, we have a lot of space because it's like prairies. So like I said, when Walmart came by, they were like, oh, look at this. And I was like, well, we just have more space than you do in like a big city. So we do have a little bit of an advantage in that way. Like my house, pardon me? Auntie Kay brought you a cupcake.
Great. 2 chocolate ones and 2 Taylors. I take the cake and put on the chocolate.
Oh,
And
good.
I put these pumpkin sprinkles on it, and I didn't put that chocolate on.
Oh,
No, I didn't.
can I eat that?
No, that's my cupcake. I bet.
Okay.
I love
it likes to make an appearance in every meeting and or podcast.
Yeah.
Surprise!
Well, it can't
Last
be
meeting, he just opened the door like a little bit.
Yeah.
And he had a handful of chocolate chips, which he's not supposed to have. And he was like this.
Testing you.
Watching me. And I was like, I can't respond to this right now. Yeah. Yeah. What was I talking about? What were we talking about?
Being home.
Yeah, being at home. Right.
Balancing
here a lot. Yeah. Yeah. We do have the advantage of, and we built up my new studio with ventilation, and yeah, half our basement, which was such an amazing change. And I know one day I'll have to like get a warehouse or something. Trying to convince my videographer, I was like, we need a creative warehouse, putting it up there for all our stuff. And everything we're doing now, he's shooting like a crazy amount. He's like the only one where we live. So I'm like, you can do this. Anyway, that's a side note. Yeah, I saw a little like meme or something during like the height of the, isolation, like where we were all like, they're like, we don't know what's going to happen. So everything shut for a second. And I remember the little like weird puppet guy being like, when everyone in the world is calling my daily life isolation, that's how I felt. And so like, yeah, this is actually not an adjustment at all for me. This is what I do every day. And everyone's like crying, like, this is so hard. I'm like, I know.
Welcome to my world.
And that's like every stay-at-home mom or parent was like laughing. Like, yeah, guys.
Yeah,
this is difficult. Or I could not do the homeschooling for the academic part. I'm good learn through play. I'm there with you. Yeah. Like that is, I'm down. I would be down for bird watching / and sitting outside and seeing what we could discover. But like as far as like, let's read or do math. Or I love reading. Actually, I don't mind reading, but the math, I'd be like, this is
yeah,
like, and then how can I expect them to be having a good time?
Right.
So, yeah, it's people who do that are very special. Teachers are very special.
Yeah.
And please don't go anywhere and let's not shut down again. I need a tiny little bit of free time. Just a little. I still have 2 at home. So, yeah, I got a note at home from the teacher, and she's like, you forgot the fruit and Gus's lunch. I'm like, yeah, okay, I left that on the counter, dropped the ball, so sorry.
Yes.
So sorry. I love you and you're doing a great job. However, let me just throw my this morning to you. You don't need to send me notes because I'm trying super hard. Very hard. Let's just tell what happened while I was getting Gus ready for school this morning. Teddy broke a piggy bank upstairs and then urinated on all the money.
No.
And then I set my other son up with a craft, and Teddy came down and dumped his craft box all over the kitchen living room area, which is a big craft box because I'm an artist. I've got a lot of craft junk. And then he went upstairs into a 3-tier cabinet that is on his cupboard on the shelf and somehow got on to the pills and dumped all the pills. I was like, that was just in the half an hour that I was getting my one son ready to go out the door for school. I'm sorry, I forgot the oranges. It won't happen again. Just like
another banana at the bottom from last week.
Protected someone who's sitting on the fence of anxiety, like total breakdown. So let's just you're gonna push me over the edge. No, I try super hard. It's not and I don't try to hide it. I'm like trying super hard to be, everything. Motherly or Raise Good, one of those main big parenting platforms was like, whatever. What am I trying to say? They took, anyways, they asked moms if they were happy.
Oh.
Moms, they're like, how many of you are happy? 92% said they're not happy.
That's not.
I think it is the expectations that we have in society and the expectations that we have for ourselves. It's just kind of gotten out of control. And then there's the highlight reel of everyone so-called doing it perfectly, but they're not. It's just like the nicest pictures of the day of
Right.
them doing it. And the realities aren't presented anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, that can make anyone feel unhappy or not good enough.
Yeah.
And just like the expectations of, you know, you still have to do the full-time stuff, but also all the other
Mhm.
things. So it's just a lot. Like it's a lot on in that role now. And my auntie kind of said this to me, I don't know, when I first had my first child, and she said, you know, I wasn't expected to do all the stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
She's like, I was only expected, not that people should just stay home or work or it's so easy, but she's like, I was just expected to stay at home and do this. And that was it. There wasn't all of the other things that, you know, and all the other things you need to pay for. So in order to pay for all those extra subscriptions, let's just say that because they are,
Yeah.
I didn't have to work because we didn't have that same expense. And so in order to pay for those expenses, you need a 2-income household. However, who's parent, like, and not just like man or woman or father, whoever decided to stay home.
Yeah.
You know, the expectation was 1 income. This person takes care of everything that goes along with that, you know, and it's really shifted. And like now it's all falling because it's
Yeah.
it's not possible to maintain, you know.
Yeah. When I first had my son, I was still working at the museum full time, and trying to still find that time to do my own artwork. And a friend of mine, she's older, I don't know how old, but she, grandparent age, is so good at just generating artwork. She will do a painting a day. She'll do a little blog post about the story with it. She's really good at marketing and just making that time for it, and more, not necessarily, I don't know, I'm trying to think of my word for it. Just keeping that pattern of creating. And I think it's really easy to fall out of that pattern of creating. And so I reached out to her right after I had my son, and I was like, how do you make the time for that? How do you like put that boundary up and make that time so that you don't lose who you are and you keep creating? And she's like, well, I don't have a newborn at home. and so much truth in that. And like for a while, I lived with that, like, her in my head telling me that, of like, it's okay to let this go. And then after a while, it sort of had the reverse effect where it made me really mad, not mad at her, but like mad that that's sort of the stance that our culture would take too, of just like, yeah, you have a newborn at home, like go ahead and put your passions aside. It's like, well, no one tells you to stop going to the grocery store. Nobody tells you to stop checking the mail and to stop sweeping the floors and to stop all these other things. So why, when art is such a big
part, why are you telling me to give up a part of myself?
Yeah.
And so like, that's very important.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
It's
and
part of my identity.
Yeah.
And how I express my whole self. And not only that, but like for a mental state, I feel like it's essential for creatives to create.
Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely a better mother, like when I get time to draw.
Yeah. I mentored a lot of moms into creating again. Like, no, it's possible. It's just possible with, once you get into and you can maintain balance and a routine. And there's so many factors, and I have a whole course about it, but there's so many factors that fall into being able to create, and it mainly starts with a sleep routine for everyone. And that's number one, is sleep, of course. And but like once you have more than one, like, it's just like it's a little out of control. That's for sure. It is possible. It's possible. It's so possible. And creativity doesn't have to be like I'm sitting and painting. It's so many other things. It can be being outside. It can be, and it fills your creative cup. I was creating a long time to heal through some losses during the births of my first and second son. So I didn't know, though, until I had talked to Mona from Art Art Moms United, who also had some grief, and she like talks all about that. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, you know what? I was painting to heal for sure. So yeah, I just don't think it's something that people can compromise. And you're right. It's not okay to be like, well, you should just stay at home. Everyone has the right to maintain their identity and sense of self. Everyone does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. It's not something that, but kind of is an old fashioned notion.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a balance.
Yeah.
Make time for yourself, and so that you are that person that you want to be.
Yeah. And you know what? For my auntie, probably no one said, what would you like to do?
Yeah.
Right? Or you can do whatever you want. You don't have to be at home and raise your kids only specifically and make food for them every, because that's just, well, I love cooking, but that's for me and too, right? Like that's part of it. But yeah, it's a strange thing, and you'll get a different point of view and a different opinion everywhere you go. But I think what is great and so precious about the day and age now is that we can see the example of a person doing it, and you can reach out and become friends with them or message them or join a group with them or a mastermind or take a course and be inspired to connect with whatever you're into, coin collecting, like whatever you're into. Like there's a lid for every pot, and you'll find your tribe, and you'll inspire one another to keep going. And even if you're having, not just support when you're doing well, but support when you're not doing so well.
Yeah.
Which will be that's going to be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really when you need people so much the most anyway.
Yeah, I've made so many friends over the past year and a half, like so many who have so much in common. We all, and support one another. It's so great. This is kind of mean, but my husband's like, why are you friends with them anymore? I was like, I don't want to be friends with them. I'm like, I just don't need to be. I'm like, this sounds super dorky, but I found so many friends on the internet. Who I'm like, I felt like it was an effort to be friends with this person, and it was taking away more from me, and I wasn't connecting the way I wanted to, and explaining who I thought I should be, or like I come from a smaller place with not a lot of people who can identify with the same ambitions. Not a lot of people understand when they like walk over in my neighborhood. They're like, what are you up to? I'm like, I'm actually working right now.
Yeah.
I'd love to chat, but like my collection is launching in 3 days.
When I started working from home, people are like, we can get coffee anytime. We can do this. I'm like, no, we can't. Like now I'm more stressed because I'm like trying to find this balance and get into a groove, and I'll find it.
I have my garage open, but it's +30 and I don't get this stuff.
I'm not doing this for fun.
Yeah, I'm like, just Brandy, she stays at home with her kids and she just has a great time.
Yeah.
All sunshine and rainbows over there. She's just painting some stuff, doing crafts. Yeah, not a lot of people get it.
No.
That's okay though. That's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something special. Brandy, she's just crafting. She's just crafting at home.
My mom actually, she's a singer and songwriter, and so growing up, she would have band practice while we were going to sleep. She'd come tuck us in and go back downstairs, and she'd have band rehearsal in the dining room. So we fell asleep to the drums banging, and they would practice with the microphones. I mean, so it's like she really carved the path in showing me that you can live this crazy life, but it does require some strange working hours and some strange working conditions, and balancing, motherhood with your passion and not letting that go. And
oh, beautiful. Yeah, you had a great example right away, like a great person to, teach you like that. You don't really have to learn it. You just know.
Yeah.
You just know that there is a way to balance it all. And I think Do you think that affected you in like a positive way?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to be an artist. And so, I mean, she has fostered that from the beginning. My whole family has. They've just been really supportive. And it didn't come without warning of, okay, like, sure, follow your passion. You know, and when I wanted to start my art business, you know, I do remember my mom saying, okay, but you are trading one set of pros and cons for another set of pros and cons. Like, you will be doing your passion, but it doesn't come without a little bit more of the sleepless nights and a little bit less stability and knowing exactly what's coming up, you know, opposed to just your punch in and out, you know, day job. And I wouldn't
$1,000 to $100,000 a year. Working 9 to 5, yeah.
Yeah, and definitely, you know, late hours and weird hours, and but yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
No.
And especially as a parent, like, it just, you know, my son gets to see me do something that I love, and whatever it is that he ends up, you know, being called to do, that is what he would follow, that he would know he can make a way, and that he sees me happy doing that, and I'm not losing my sense of self because of him either. It's been really good. Yeah.
If you're looking for some time for yourself to relax, release, and unwind, Oasis has the perfect space for you. They offer yoga and spin classes of all levels. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, Oasis thrives on accommodating all aspects of the practice. Let their serene environment and gracious staff help you in your journey of peace, healing, and strength. Sign up online at www.oasishotyogastudio.com or by downloading the Oasis Hot Yoga Studio app. Feel like yourself. You deserve it.
So yeah, it comes along with, you know, doing, but that's every job. Like, every kind of thing comes along with, you know, things you're like okay with doing, and you just have to think about it like, if that's where I'm going, I have to not mind those things.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
I have to take it along with it because it allows you to do, you know, connect with your magic. I love big magic, and I always call it magic because there's no other way to describe it.
Yeah.
So like, you get to feel magical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost every day.
Yeah. Well, and there is, like, in that unplanned, like, you don't know what, like, next month, what will I be working on? Not a clue. You know, I have no idea. And, you know,
your manager's like, I really like working with you because I never know what we're going to do next.
yeah.
Besides her working on the Amazon stuff, she's like, I could take that or leave it.
Yeah. Adventure.
Yeah. So, but she's like, yeah, I never know if we're like packing up and going somewhere or like what we're doing. So it's exciting. And sometimes that gets old too, but like, you know, you're like, oh man, I could do with a little consistency. I actually did take on a bit of an art job next year, but like just a little bit of consistency.
Yeah.
Which like I actually could do with some consistency where, you know, I'll show up and know what to expect and I can prepare for it, and it'll be every week at the same time, and it fits into my schedule and my kids' schedule. So I did say yes, and I was like, I will only say yes if they will do it at this time and the way I would like. And I think we get to the age in life where we're like, you know, I'm only going to say yes if, and if they don't, I'm fine with saying no.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of come into yourself and you're like, I'm not stretching that far. I did that already and it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Or I did that 10 times.
Like that. Like, quoted them, and it was really nice to just be like, my heart's not necessarily tied to this, and if you say no, that's gonna be fine. Like, I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I need this, I have to have this, I have to say yes to everything. And it was a really freeing place to get to.
Super empowering. Yeah, you're like, okay, yeah.
We got this.
You know,
took a couple of years, but we're here.
Right. You know, I hate saying like, I'm like, I've been doing this for 15 years. But that's okay, because, you know, it's okay. And it's nice because yeah, you get to the point where you're like a little established and confident.
Yeah.
Confident and making those decisions.
Or just slightly more confident.
Slightly. I was always confident, but didn't really know what I was doing. Like, this could just go anyway. I'll just keep going with it.
Yeah.
And that was fun too, but a great way to learn.
Yeah.
I did this really cool project in Montreal, and it was such an adventure. But yeah, I didn't know what I was doing half the time. It was another artist project, and just like, this is nuts. And it was so scary. And I'm glad I did it when I was like young, and it was such a great learning experience to just be like, okay, I guess we'll try. I'm super scared, but I think you need some fear too, and in the experiences you're gonna ask for. Yeah. So I'm glad, now I'm not afraid to travel the world or visit a new city all by myself.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, if I could just get some mural jobs
Yeah.
in some giant cities, and then like one of my sons will be old enough by the time I can travel confidently with like leaving some at home and taking one or and they won't be a total asshole and sleep and etc. I'm like, I'd love to like take one of my sons and like paint a massive building somewhere like that. That would be cool, right?
Yeah.
And an experience for them too, and you won't feel so lost or as afraid. I feel like when you go anywhere, there's a big fear factor. You're like, well, how are we going to get from here to there? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So those early lessons of travel and stuff were good. I'm sure we'll get there one day again.
Yeah. I remember when I went away for college, it was like 2 hours away, and that felt like a world away. I mean, just for where I was, just fresh out of high school. And it's funny to look back and be like, really, like 2 hours down the highway, and and
it
then
is though,
yeah,
because you're still so little and not so independent, and learning to do everything for the first time by yourself, and there's a little bit of fear in that.
Yeah.
It's good. It's really good. I had like, even in Europe though, early on, like experiences where you're very afraid. You're like one residency, they didn't pick you up from the train, but you didn't know how to get to the residency.
Oh gosh.
Like even grown adults who went to this residency in France, they're like, yeah, so it was 5 miles from the residency, and the train just drops you off at like whatever time, and they didn't arrange for you to be picked up. So all of us had a very unique story.
Yeah.
How we got there. And maybe the town, Nogent-sur-Seine, expected like these artists to land lost and help them. There was a bus place somewhere in there, but not at 9 at night.
Yeah.
And not at whatever time. I'm glad I didn't land at night.
You have a phone where you can just call.
But we didn't have phones. So this was back in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you didn't have a new chip or whatever, like it wasn't easy to get your cell phone working at that time. I know this dates me, but didn't have GPS on my cell phone in Europe. So I didn't have a phone. I didn't have GPS. So just try to get around without those things, guys. I can't even get around now without those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I landed and the town seemed vacant. I was like, didn't see a soul. It was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so everywhere was closed because it's France. And they're like, we quit at 3. We're going for dinner in 6 hours from now, but we're going to quit and go have a nap and then come for dinner. We'll peek out our faces at 9 at night again. Anyway, I was lost with all my luggage and all the things, and I just wandered around this town. Broken payphone, vacant, and then I heard voices in a building, and I knocked on the building. No one spoke English, and all I had was like some paper that said where I needed to be, and this man drove me there. I was very afraid.
Yeah.
As a young 20-whatever-year-old woman, like this man who didn't speak English, and yeah, we all had unique stories. Some people just walked there. on the dirt path that who knows if that was the right path to the residency. That was how my friend Vishwa from India got there. Then Viviana from Spain, she landed very late, 10 at night. And this old couple had her stay in their house overnight and then took her in the morning. But I'm just like, they need to figure this shit out. Like, how to get their artists to the residency, because we all had quite the experience. I want to go back. They asked me to come cook, and they said, you can stay for free if you cook us this food again.
You're like, what are you expecting me to cook?
I'm like, no, I love cooking. And they had kind of an orchard, and all the apples and pears were falling off the trees. I was like, are we not going to use these?
Yeah.
Guys, we're all here to paint or write or sing or whatever everyone was doing. And I'm like, you guys, the pears are rotting on the ground. I need to make a pear butter or torts, and everything. I definitely gained 15 pounds in Europe. Everyone does. I'm like, we just need to eat wine and cheese and eat all this fruit. And I just like cooked, and they're like, you can come back and cook for us anytime. Like, I will. Like, when I come back with my children, will they remember me?
And they'll help all the fruit go to school on time.
Yeah, it was on the Seine, so it's a really beautiful residency. And the classic old, once I figured it all out, how to get from A to B on a bike, it was fine. That was a long story, unexpected. So sorry.
No, I actually had a similar experience like that. I was in Uganda and I couldn't find my way to this.
See, that would scare the shit out of me a little bit more.
This one guy was driving through, and I was like, if I don't ask, then I just feel like I'm never gonna find my way. And then I was thinking, but then if I do ask, then like, hey, big red flag, she's alone and doesn't know like where she's going. And so I'm like, I'm gonna take the risk.
Be either abducted or
I'm like, hey, like, how do I get here? And and it just so happened that he was going to a place right down the street from it, and that was made the choice, got in the car, took me there, not a problem, thankfully. But the whole time I'm like, this is like how people make the news. This is what movies are.
I think in America we just see those movies where like the girl goes to the States and her dad kills 500 people to get to them or whatever, And
you're like, you know what? Most of the world is nice. Everyone's really helpful and really nice, and just chill out, everyone. So
yeah. Well, I'm sure it does happen, and people get taken advantage of and abducted. Let's be serious. But for the most part, there's some like gentle souls out there. They see you, they help you. But and traveling is a bit scary for that reason. Now, though, like with technology, it's a bit nicer. But those experiences are empowering themselves, and I'm glad I traveled, before I was still with my partner, and we got married later and had kids. So I'm happy and grateful. Did you travel before you were together, had kids, or did you do that during?
It was before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were you grateful you did that first kind of, I feel like it's a part of self-discovery.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It definitely had a huge part in forming who I am, and gave me all sorts of independence and just, curiosity about the world. I mean, like I said, such a huge difference from 2 hours down the road and freaking out about it to, feeling confident and going anywhere and meeting people, and just knowing that there are definitely bad situations that you could end up in, but most people, I think, are going to try to help keep you safe and, make you comfortable, and just be so eager to show you where they come from, their culture, their food, their family, their house, just everyone. So inviting.
Yeah, I bet that was an amazing experience too. Yeah. What were you there for?
I was there. I went with a couple different things in mind. One was to teach sewing, and I ended up not teaching sewing at all. I ended up helping a family with their mission that they were doing. But I really love photography and art, obviously. And so I was taking pictures and I was journaling the whole time. And then my like new goal while I was there, so the unintended one of being there, was to capture, I think specifically with it being Africa, was as Americans, we can tend to have this idea of what Africa is or what it should be, what it has been, without really realizing what it is. So when I got there, you spend your whole life being told what different parts of the world are like, and then you go and it is like nothing at all like you were. So then my new goal when I got there was to just capture stories and these drawings and pictures, and my like whole goal turned into teaching people here at home of what I saw. So I mean, again, it's still my perspective. It is not a full or whole definition of one place or people, but it is my experience with it. Really enjoyed that. I'd have shows when I got back of the photography, and I don't consider myself a photographer, but I did really enjoy taking photographs while I was there. So I did have photography in the show, which is a little bit outside of my realm, paintings and drawings. And then I had my sketchbooks out for people to flip through. It's really vulnerable. You have all of your thoughts and all of your processes while you're away from your family and you're in this new place and new food and new people. And just to have people sit there and read every page, it was sort of a, just ignore it, pretend like
it is hard to expose parts of yourself. I worked at a community theater once, and a band came through, and they were really creative and like really connected to that. Like, obviously they're musicians. And he's like, "Oh, what's your name?" And he was on his phone. And he's like, "Oh, I see your blog. Oh, beautiful poem." And he started reading my poem out loud. I was like, "Can you not do this right now?"
Yeah,
like it was for reels, and like he's reading this really intimate poem of mine out loud. I was like, "Let's just eat dinner and not read my blog, and cool." Like, enjoy the supper I made and have a great show.
Yeah.
Let's not read my poetry anymore. Thanks. Very nice meeting you. And we'll just not go into that.
Yeah.
It is, as a creative, and, you're exposing like deep parts of yourself to the world. It's very vulnerable.
Well, it's not that finished product either. It's not the canvas that we finished and we chose like that was worthy to go into a show. It is rough sketches that were really bad, ones that I ripped out.
I love that.
Thinking,
I love seeing that process.
Yeah.
I think it is important to share, even though it's hard.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like I got the most genuine feedback from people from that experience. I mean, and this is years and years ago. It's been a long time. But the amount of connection that I also got from people with that, and other artists within the area, we have a very artsy area, doing paintings from my photographs. And so then we ended up having another show of other artists and, this whole collaborative work, watercolors, acrylics, different styles. And it was just really, really fun to start connecting. And I was like, that was my whole purpose. It was my newfound purpose, was to come back and help my community feel connected to the community that I so well connected with in Uganda. So it was really neat to kind of feel that come full circle and that people got it.
Did you come back with a little bit of, like, how long did you go for?
I went 2010, right, was the first time I went for 2 weeks. And then I went back for 6 months. And then I went back for 3 months. And then I took my son for his 4th birthday. So 2.5 years ago we went. So that was awesome. Yeah.
Cool. And so you like connected, like you love it.
Oh yeah. And I have to show you my picture. I have a daughter there, unofficial daughter. But like one of my whole goals and dreams is to like have them together. So the two of them getting to meet was, one of my dreams come true. But yeah, like from my previous trips there, it was so much time was spent just being with people and talking with them and hearing their stories and just listening and writing down, things that you didn't want to forget and drawing portraits of them and tracing kids' hands. Like I have so many handprints in my sketchbooks and little handprints in some of them, if they were playing in the dirt or anything, their handprint is still in the page and traced around it and they all would write their name on them. And that was what I had envisioned of just so much of my trips there are creative based and just community based. And when I went with my son, he was 3 when we got there. We were there for 2 weeks and then turned 4. And it was like one of the hardest moments of parenting my son was before we went, like just behavior wise, it was rough.
It's such a tough age. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have already booked an airplane to put this monster on. Everyone
I say asshole, you say monster, whatever.
Yeah, it was awful. And like thankfully right before we went, we had a pretty easy flight. And when we got there, I thought he would love just the free reign to just go run, go play. And he's always connected much better with adults than kids. And so then it was like, no, I'm not going to play with any of these kids. I'm going to hang out with you. And I was like, cool. Which, I loved, but it definitely, we were still at the point where I needed to take him back to nap in the middle of the day and dealing with jet lag and not being able to explain it to him. I mean, just the whole thing. It was a very different trip. And so I took a sketchbook and I think I wrote down directions in it more than I did any sketching. It was 3 pages.
Yeah, it's a different story from there.
Yeah.
They're so great, but at the same time, they can be so not great. I have one he's 4 and he's just like me. And I know I was like that. And I was like, this is what I get. This is what I get for being such an asshole when I was a kid, but I turned out okay. So I have hope for him. He's so his just every emotion boils right below his skin surface. So it's just it's intense. I have friends who go there or have been there, and she works with Hands at Work there. And so they sometimes talk about the culture shock of coming home and it's just water waste and a whole bunch of
it's a lot. It forever.
It's a lot to take to just I don't know, the world works here one way and the world works here this way, and simple things like water that we take for granted. And so it's interesting to hear about. I want to have her on and talk about it all, because I just think it's so and I think it's important for people to hear. Okay, I drank this so while we were sitting here, so I have to go soon or I'm gonna have an accident. It was so nice. Here I go. Everyone have to pee very badly.
Well,
and I got a meeting before this, so I should have took a break. But I'm so glad you reached out. And it was super nice meeting you, and I hope we connect more and again. And where can everyone find you?
So I have a website, megdaviesdesign.com, and then it's the same handle as I've now in my older age learned for Instagram as Meg Davies Design, but with underscore in between each name. So
super. And I have our last question sponsored by Red Bicycle Communications. It's my favorite question. It's a day in the life, and I want you to describe. You can even close your eyes if you want to think about it really hard. Your perfect day, your ideal day in your life. What would that look like to you?
Oh, definitely sleeping in. We're starting early with that.
Start there.
Sleeping in. I love a good slow start to the mornings. I'm not. I just love a good relaxing morning. To just do something outside. I love being by the river, or just hiking around, and I love my family. I feel like that's sort of a boring answer, but it's what makes me that simplicity. I just love it. Yeah. Being with my son and being outside.
Wonderful. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll chat again soon.
Sounds good. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in, friend. Make sure you join our Color Me Happy community. It's free. Or you can learn to create in the sketchbook project that we started. You know what? You're maybe an artist, you're maybe not an artist. You're whatever, your kids are really creative. Join the sketchbook project. It's for anyone and everyone. And it's just, so many people have joined it and connected to their creativity. And that's what I want. That's what I want for everyone, because I know how therapeutic and wonderful all the time. Like, I have that feeling. I'm trying to put this into a sentence here. I feel good. Creating makes me feel so good all the time. And it's like this magical, beautiful experience. And I want so many people to have that same experience and for themselves and what that means to them. And I want you to connect to that part of yourself. So feel free to join our beautiful community where creatives and just people who want to hear, see, enjoy, or experience creativity gather. I also am really super darn close to releasing my book. So close. I'm hoping, I always say this, but I just edited the formatting. So that means as soon as that's like, it's going to be a little while longer. As soon as that is edited, it goes back to the editor. So I'm self-publishing because I don't know any publishers. And we'll see how that goes, right? I mean, who knows where stuff leads, but it ended up being like 222 pages. So it's a decent sized book, and the audio is really special too. If you like podcasts, you probably like audiobooks. So you'll love that. I did it. I did it. It was so hard, but so fantastic. And this really cool endeavor and experience. So you'll be able to get it soon. I'll let you know. I'm sure I'll be shouting it from all the rooftops, every friggin' rooftop that I can, that it's out. But I'm really excited to share it with you. And make sure to, if you are joining or taking our portrait class, or which we've received amazing feedback from, by the way. So if you're into that, check it out. Again, any artistry level, and or in the community. If you're creating anything, please don't be shy. We want to see it, and we want to chat about it, and we want to lift you up and make sure you continue to create and touch other people with your creativity and inspire others with what you're doing. So be sure to always tag us. You can tag us on Instagram, TikTok. Such a good TikToker. Not really. That's when you feel old, when you're like, I can't get on the next social media train. I refuse. I'm not refusing, but take us in on Facebook or anything like that, or just reach out to. I'm happy to chat, happy to help if you have any questions. Thank you so much to our wonderful sponsors of this Color Me Happy podcast, This is how you get more sponsors. You fuck up the names. Thank you to our sponsors, Nouveau Laser and Aesthetic Center, and Red Bicycle Communications, and Oasis Hot Yoga and Spin Studio. And you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Hopefully this inspired you, and we will chat soon, friends.
Microwave. she's lonely. A broken promise that was once a determined dream. Everything in me you will see.
Am I the fluorescent that's landing on your fake face?
You can take it all from me.
Am I the wallpaper that you hang when I'm out of stock?